the transgenic species wallpaper. So these are some of the new life forms. One of them, where's the cat? The transgenic cat.
2 down, I think she comes.
So examples, this is the bovine and human gene, 1990. So what did they think they were doing with this?
Well, this was just kind of an experimentation, but it was 1990. It was before the genome was programmed. But the next one is actually when we started to edit. They programmed the genome. They were able to edit DNA itself, which is becoming more and more prevalent. And that's what leads to what the wallpaper is in the Infinity Engine room, which is all of the mutations that have happened since the genome was programmed, and all the new life forms that people around the world are making, I think, to kind of counter a polluted planet and to create a way of sustaining ourselves as we shift our environment.
Mm-hmm.
But they're and to me, it seemed like there's so many new life forms being made that it was like wallpapering the room. And there are institutions and banks being made to keep the original. You know, like how many original species of apples are there?
Right.
And they're all mutating. How many original species of any animal that is continually mutating? So we'll know what our history is.
Right.
That's changing so fast.
It's like the seed arcs, right? The
Yes.
seed arcs, right?
Yeah.
So let's go on to a couple of the pieces that reflect what's in the installation and talk a little bit about the Infinity Engine installation.
Well, when I started this project, I wanted to do something that would have some resonance with what was going on in the world. I started to think what really is important going on right now, and it seemed to me that what was happening with genetic engineering was a key factor of our survival and our life. And I just started to coldly call people in the field. And the first person I called was Anthony Atala, who had invented the bioprinter. And he's at Wake Forest, and he was kind enough to talk to me about what he was doing and why he was doing it. And you see in the installation a bioprinted ear
Right.
that he printed for this exhibition. And he began as a pediatric surgeon, and he said that these children would have to have transplants, that they'd have problems their whole lives. And that's why they invented this technique of using people's cells and programming them to build organs that could be put into the body that would have no rejection, and it would come out of a printer already pulsing and living. And it's a photographic process. It seems to me an extension of photography of what these were doing. And so, you know, that these were some of the designs in some of the things that were being made in his lab. And he's been doing it. I think the first person he did was 7 years old when he had a bladder transplant, and he's now in his 20s and is a wrestler.
Oh, excellent. So
Yeah.
doing fine and
Doing
yes,
fine. Yeah.
Where is the location of this?
Of what?
The location of this?
Of the lab? Well, this was shot at Wake Forest, but they're all over the world.
Oh.
Almost every university now is doing this in the world.
And then this is a shot of the. Is this here? The shot
Yeah.
of the lab.
Yeah, I went to many labs, and so this is kind of a composite of what you would see as you go into a lab. And
so the Infinity Engine project is actually was intended to be a 3-part project, or had 3 parts to it, right? So it was
At least.
right. So the installation, the research, the documentary, and then a film that has not yet been made.
Yeah.
Right. And then is this part?
yeah,
of
this was part of the original
Mhm.
installation, which did reverse engineered facial recognition to try to determine the type of history that you had, and it's kind of like 23andMe without
right.
any saliva.
Right.
And it's a little bit different. We have a little smarter version here, where it also can tell your mood and hopefully your age and gender.
And
So
then
these
this
are just
is-
drawings for the original one that we were thinking of.
And then there's the, right. So next, I think you're gonna, there's another couple iterations coming up about focusing on Infinity Engine. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, the Infinity Engine was invited to the first Rigo Biennial, and for that one I want to have a room that deals with forensics and traces of who we are, that we, because there's, it's like Gattaca, we're always leaving things, ourselves, and forever, essentially. That's how they're able to solve crimes now that they couldn't before.
Right.
So I'd like to have a forensic room, and I'm going in a week to Basel, which is the capital of pharmaceuticals in the world, to talk to them about what they're doing with antibodies, which essentially is what all of these works are about. Because now they're finding ways to use the body itself to retrain itself in healing.
And so I actually wanted, because I've been playing with the notion of the antibody, because you told me about that and the interviews you're going to do with the pharmaceutical kind of researchers. And I'm wondering if instead of ANTI, body, if we could think about it ANTE body, the interior body, the body that the entropic, right? The body that sheds, the body that is anterior to the, and that there's an anticipatory body, or the notion, and this is, I think, kind of where you're going. This isn't the body, it's not after the body, right? It's not the body, like we're not done with the body.
No.
And we're not transcending the body.
Right.
The body is no longer ground truth. And I think that's what I'm hearing with the, the seeds, the seed arc, and the archiving information in the DNA, or in DNA.
Yeah, in the Infinity Engine, George Church talks about some of the mutations that he's been able to accomplish, and my hope also is after the pharmaceutical and the forensic lab is to turn everything, all the footage and the materials in the Infinity Engine into DNA itself, so that things could be projected out of DNA, not just for archiving, so DNA becomes a source for cinema of the future.
Okay.
We're going to do it.
I know. I have no doubt she will do it. Okay. I think we should open it up for questions, having now had a chance to do a drive by and drive through.
Those of you who are asking questions, come up to the microphone so that everybody has the benefit of hearing your question. And just